Welcome to the How to Create a Travel Budget lesson. If you open up the PDF, you can follow along for this worksheet. It will cover everything you need to know when budgeting for a vacation. You can use this for short weekend trips, a whole week-long vacation, a month-long road trip, anything you want, and you'll be able to build out your budget for it. And we're going to break this down by tourism sector so that it's more manageable. If you've gone through the Discount Travel Secrets, you've kind of already seen this. So transportation, lodging, attractions, and food. Everything you do in travel can be separated into these 4 categories. So with this in particular, some of it's like kind of reverse engineering your budget. It's not like look at your finances, what can you afford? It's like I'm planning this trip, where can I make this trip fit into my budget type thing. So transportation, first thing is to consider, how are you getting there and back? Are you taking a plane, a car, a train, a bus, or something else? And then, so if you're taking a plane, for example, you can map out any potential fees when it comes to airfare. So the plane tickets themselves, how many tickets you have to buy, or if you're purchasing for like your whole family or something. You have to consider if you're going to check any bags, or even if there's like a carry-on fee if you're going with like a budget airline. Sometimes there's fees for your seat assignment, or sometimes you just want to upgrade your seat assignment, so you pay the fee, and then just kind of add up that total cost of what you think that will come out to. And then you have to think about getting yourself to the airport. Are you going to pay someone to drop you off? Are you taking a shuttle? Or are you going to pay for a lift? Are you going to park your own car? So you'll need to calculate that cost and then add that to your list. And then once you're at the airport, do you need anything before you get on the plane? Do you need to get water, food, snacks? Add in a little something there if you are someone that tends to, get yourself a little treat before you get on the plane. And then do that all again for your return flight. How do you need anything before you get on that flight? How are you getting home from the airport when you come back? So here you can add all of those different things for the departure and the return. But maybe you're taking a car. How much is it going to cost to fill up your car before you leave? I think a lot of people forget about that cost if they're like, oh, if I'm road tripping, it's 1,000 miles. So what's 1,000 miles in gas? But like your car usually you want to fill up your car before you start a road trip. So there's like that upfront cost before you even fill out that first tank of gas. You can guesstimate this number by just recent gas prices you've seen. You can also, if you don't know how many gallons your gas tank holds, like if you've ever filled up your car on like practically empty, how many gallons is that? You can also Google it if you don't know. You can use the Gas Buddy app to look up area gas prices, or just Google different plots along your way of your road trip, and then you can multiply that number. So my example is I have a 2010 Ford Escape. It has a 14-gallon tank. At the time that I made this, I lived in California, so gas was insane. So gas was $4.29 a gallon. So if my car holds 14 gallons and it's $4.29 a gallon, that's $60 to fill up my whole car. So the other thing with that is my car would say I get about 330 miles on a full tank. If I'm road tripping, it could go all the way up to like 400 because I'm getting good gas mileage. So then you would try to find out how many times you're going to need to fill up gas. If I'm just driving to Vegas, I know I just need gas, a full tank of gas to get there and a full tank of gas to get back. So I know that would be $120 worth of gas. But if you're going somewhere farther, you need to calculate all those costs in there. This is where I have that as well. So go into Google Maps, get your mileage, divide those by how much you get. So my example here was when we drove to San Francisco. It's a 411-mile drive from where we lived at the time. And then always kind of like overestimate too, because if there's like traffic, or if you, detour for whatever reason. We had one time we were trying to drive actually to Zion and Bryce Canyon for the weekend, but I-15 going out to Vegas was iced over and they shut it down for like 6 hours overnight. So all the cars, we were just sitting there freezing with our cars running because it was so cold you couldn't just turn it off the whole time. So if you hadn't planned for that and it's out in the middle of the desert, then that kind of makes a difference. It just goes into, adding up that that final number, I also just add 1 extra tank of gas to that number, because maybe I'm gonna, like what I just said, or maybe once I'm there, I'm gonna drive around a little more than maybe I plan to. So I always just factor in 1 extra tank of gas into what I think the budget might be. The other thing you need to do is get your car checked before you go. So I personally go to Valvoline. And even if you don't need the oil change, they will check all the other stuff for you for free. And maybe it is time for an oil change. So you might need to factor that cost in. Like at a bare minimum, you need to at least go through Valvoline for them to check that everything looks good. And then also maybe wash your car. So those are all things that you're going to factor in to that price. And here's where you can list all of that out for the departure, and then again for the return. If you're taking a train, a lot of the same things apply. So the train tickets, how many people you're buying them for, are there carry-on fees? Can you check a bag? Is there upgraded pricing for different seats? Food at the train station, food on the train. Getting to the train station, same thing. Are you going to pay someone to drop you off? Are you taking a shuttle? Are you taking a Lyft? Are you leaving your own car? Add all of those in. Same thing for the return, add all of those in, and that's where you can add these on here. For the bus, same thing applies. You can list your departure and your return breakdown, and then for any other type of combination, sometimes it might be multiple things. It might be a whole like planes, trains, and automobiles situation. So you can, there's some space here to list out all of that. So that's the external transportation part. We've figured out your cost of your trip to get there and back. But now we have to think about how you're getting around once you're there. Are you going to be driving around? You can use the previous formulas to determine how much gas you'll need during your trip. If you're taking public transportation, calculate those costs. If you're going to rely on Uber or Lyft, you can look up those average costs, or maybe you're going somewhere that you can walk around, or you have someone else that's able to drive you around, so there's not an added cost, but you can list all of those potential things under here. The next step, so now that transportation costs are completely covered, that's like a quarter of your trip. Now lodging, where are you staying during your trip? Hotel, resort, staying with friends and family, timeshare, camping, RVs, all kinds of things you can do. But remember to factor in like the total taxes and fees, any like tipping your like housekeeping or tipping valet or concierge, anything like that. Consider those. Also, like laundry facilities, some places offer them, but for a price. Sometimes they're included. Are you going to be using them or not? Sometimes the campgrounds have like a fee for like the shower facilities. Like we stayed somewhere that it was like a coin operated time on like the showers or something like that. So factoring those things as well. And also like if the hotel like includes, you know, breakfast or something, or if you're gonna, or like a food credit that you know you're gonna add on to, like think about all those little things that could add up in terms of your lodging pricing. And then the third part is going to be entertainment. What will you actually be doing on your trip? I recommend planning out an itinerary, or at the very least having a list of things that you want to do. Like you don't necessarily have to have a strict schedule of we're doing all of these things at these times. You can be like, okay, we're here for 5 days. These are all the different things I want to do. You can kind of do them as you please, or as the weather's nice or whatever. But just getting prices of all the different ththings that you want to do, that can also help you narrow down maybe what you leave out of doing your trip, or if you can find something that bundles those. But just having an idea helps. You can still wing it once you're there, but as long as you've done the research beforehand, then you kind of have an idea for what this is going to cost. And also keeping in mind the number of people you're buying all of these things for. And if there's a way to, again, bundle. So like if you're doing a national park road trip, don't pay like admission at every national park. Get a national park pass for $80 and not pay $25 every single time you enter a national park. So things like that. There's space here to list all of that. And then the very last part of that is food. What will you be eating and drinking? Are you going to bring some with you, like just like snacks for the road, or, you know, bottled water that you have with you? Or are you going to get stuff at the store once you're there? When we went to Maui a few years ago, we did like a case of water and some like croissants and muffins, so that we always had something in the room to just like a bite of something if it was like early in the morning before we went out somewhere, or late at night we just wanted something, or while we were like driving around like the road to Hana, we had stuff in the car with us that we had access to. So think about those little like, comfort items. And then also for food, it's hard to, like, I'm not going to say pick every restaurant you want to go to, look at the menu of exactly what you want, and that's your budget. That one's more so of you kind of know how much you spend on food and how much you're willing to spend on food. And you can also look up like how much average meals are in different places. So even if like if you go to Applebee's, you always get this one thing and it costs this much. But if you're going to Maui or you're going to Alaska, it's going to cost you something different. So just kind of having an idea of what the cost is somewhere. This is one of those that it might be kind of the last piece of the puzzle. Like your lodging and transportation is set. Like there's nothing you can change about that. But the things you do and the food you eat kind of rounds out the rest of your budget. That's where you can kind of do some balance of give and take and doing that reverse engineering of what you can afford and what you actually want to do. So here's where you can portion all that out. So dining, if you have an extra budget for drinks, thinking about if you're doing like table service stuff or you're ordering like room service stuff, factoring in tips. The easiest way to cut down on that cost is just doing quick service stuff that you don't have to tip for. So just, things like that to just kind of, once you've rounded out the rest of it, you know what number you have in mind, and now you can shuffle it around once you have an idea of everything. And you can use this final worksheet at the end to add everything up. And then once you see it all together in one place, you also kind of have a better idea of what works and what doesn't. I might add a discussion to this for you to add anything that you want to add, or you can always email me or message me on like Instagram or post in the Facebook group too, the Discount Travel Secrets Facebook group. You can always post in there with any questions or comments or just anything that you learned from doing any of these exercises. And that is it for this lesson. I will see you in the next one.